Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to CineMike, a new segment on the Review of the Nerds channel. This is where Mike goes solo. My co-host has his own little segment on here called POVincent, so I decided to put my thoughts down in my own little segment. So what better way to kick it off than the show I'm going to discuss today? I want to discuss a little new show on Netflix. You may have heard of it. I know that it seems like I can't go anywhere without hearing someone bring it up. If you haven't heard of it, you've probably been in cryosleep, Demolition Man style. Of course, though, I am talking about Stranger Things. Netflix has been on the charge in recent times to not only stream others' content, but also their own original work. They've obviously made a killing with the Marvel shows, like Daredevil and Jessica Jones. They're great, but Stranger Things definitely raises the bar. This show is created by the Duffer Brothers, a name that I think may go down to be just as memorable as some of the icons from the 80s that they're trying to emulate. Set in a small town in 1983, the series is a clear love letter to genre classics of that time. It feels as though this is Steven Spielberg directing a script written by Stephen King. And yeah, that's high praise. In many ways it tries to accomplish what J.J. Abrams did with Super 8, but this does it better. The show kicks off with a few strange things. A young boy mysteriously vanishes one night. Then, a mysterious girl with supernatural abilities appears, head shaven and in a hospital gown. There's a sinister creature lurking from the corners of another realm. Then, there's an ominous government agency that seems to be behind it all. One of the things I love about this show is how it tackles everything from 3 different groups, ages, and perspectives. You've got the kids working with Eleven, this mysterious girl with telekinetic and telepathic abilities. She's helping them track down their missing friend Will. Then you have the teenagers, John, the older brother of Will, and Nancy, trying to track down and kill the monster that they believe is endangering their loved ones. Then you have the chief of police of the town and Will's mother getting more entangled in the conspiracy end of it all with this shady agency. Again, I love that the show has all these little homages to 1980s sci-fi and horror. Right down to the music and title sequence, you feel transported 30 years ago. The fact that this monster pulls a missing child into another dimension is very Poltergeist-like. The monster existing in a nightmare reality, the Upside Down they call it in the show, where it can strike out at you when you least expect it, that also along with the preparation by John and Nancy to fight it at the end of the series makes me think of A Nightmare on Elm Street, when Nancy, the main character in that, kind of booby traps the house, kind of Home Alone style. I even wonder if Nancy's name is a little nod at the heroine's name from that movie. Eleven being found by these boys and protected while being hunted by the government calls back for me E.T. and Starman. With the kids, there's also clearly a little bit of a feeling of the Goonies, It, and also Stand By Me. I mean, there's also so many callbacks in this series, like Close Encounters of the Third Kind just toss out another one. But there's so many more. The awesome thing about this show is that it manages to be heavily influenced by these things, but it also stays incredibly fresh and innovative. The story and characters are really engaging. Any number of these groups of characters could have a movie of their own. They know how to build tension, like Alfred Hitchcock. These aren't just lazy jump scares. Sure, you have those, but it also can be very disturbing, like being in a nightmare. The atmosphere and fantastic effects lend to this. It's shot incredibly cinematically, so you only see what you need to. So much of it is kept in shadow for your imagination to fill in. You feel so invested in the rich world of the show that when the danger comes in, you're on the edge of your seat. They also know how to fit in levity, and there's some fun, especially with the young boys. There's some great character arcs in this too, like the Chief starts off as a broken man, and they give him this journey to find himself throughout the course of the series. There's a lot of plots being juggled here, but they find a way to tie it all together very satisfyingly in the end. The cast also really helps ground the show. Everyone is great, but the clear breakout star of this series is Eleven, played by the very talented Millie Bobby Brown. It's hard to believe that she was just 11 years old during this. The amazing thing about her is that out of all the characters, she has the least to say. However, she tells more story through her expressions than any line of dialogue could. She is incredibly expressive. You have to wonder how much of that is direction, and how much of it is just like natural-born talent. Probably a mix of both, in the end. In any case, she conveys a very complicated character who has lived a traumatic life. She's very vulnerable at times, but also incredibly strong and tough. Some of the best adult actors out there can't capture the dual nature of fear and strength in the hero the way that this little girl did. And on top of all of that, she's just a fucking cool character. Honestly, I really have to struggle to find any criticism that I have towards the show. The Chief does one little thing in the last episode that I felt was a little out of character for him. Basically, he endangers a life to save another. I didn't care so much for that, really, but I'd say that most of the complaints I have comes from some of the unresolved elements, but that's because they're trying to hook you in anticipation for the second season. And hooked, I definitely am. I can't wait. It's a very easy watch with only 8 episodes. It honestly feels like an 8-hour movie, as it's all kind of one story. With such a disappointing summer at the movies, this show feels like a lifesaver for those of us seeking good, solid entertainment. It alone is worth the price of paying for Netflix. Even if I had to triple the pay to Netflix to watch what happens next on Stranger Things, it would be worth it. It's time well spent, and I highly recommend it. So I think that about covers it. Nerd out with me next time. This is Mike, signing off.